Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it.
In today's special episode, we are joined by Ballogy's Chief Operating Officer, Jordan Green, and Director of Athletics, Shawn Jones. Jordan and Shawn discuss some of the new and future enhancements to the Ballogy platform, including Ballogy Vision AI, which provides shot tracking and player development through instant analytics. The app also has generative AI for coaching, a virtual assistant that helps create training programs and strategies. They're working on a team management software that would help with attendance tracking, group messaging, and calendar features for teams and organizations. Also, make sure you check out the Ballogy blog and podcast, Elevate Your Game. Head to Ballogy.com to book a demo today. Before we hear from Jordan and Shawn, take a moment to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media at JAMODI Podcast.
Well, guys, I just want to thank you so much for giving up your time and getting to have this talk about Ballogy and basketball and training players. And you guys have been so supportive of the podcast over the years. And so Shawn and Jordan, man, just thank you so much for coming on and giving up your time.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Of course. Love it. Those are my favorite topics to talk about. So let's dive in.
Love that. Well, the last time, Jordan, you and I did this was over 2 years ago. And I would imagine there's just been a lot of things from Ballogy that have changed. A lot of knowing Jordan for so long, like you're always looking to enhance and make things better. And so I'll just kind of let you guys jump in with, man, what are some of the things that people that don't know about Ballogy, or like me, people that have been using it for a long time, what are some new things coming out that you think we need to know about?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the lob. Since those 2 years, we've worked on a lot of things, but the primary thing is becoming the leader in player development. We want to be the leading player development platform. And in order to do that, obviously we have to solve problems. We have to help develop players. But with our program, our primary customer is the coach, the head coach, assistant coach, the coaching staff. And so from our side, 2 years ago, Shawn Jones was not on our team. And we were listening to coaches trying to do, focus groups and doing all the things to understand the pain points. I'm sure I've bugged you quite a bit, Matt, to just understand, okay, what else could we build? What else could we, enhance? But we stumbled upon, long story short, a pretty upset coach with our platform, just trying to understand, trying to navigate the platform. And his name just happened to be Shawn Jones. And so we had a great conversation with him and ended up hiring him because he had passion for what we had passion for, player development, for building and enhancing technology to help on-court performance. Because, if these resources like AI and all these things can help in every industry, why not be able to help players' IQ or to define and to maximize players' productivity and coaching decisions and things like that. So we can dive into the specifics of what's new, but I think it's, what makes Ballogy so special is who's behind it and who's building it and the heart behind that. And Shawn Jones, with such a plethora of, his background on coaching and being an AD, I want to introduce you guys to him and have him kind of speak on why he joined to really help us get to where we are now. And we couldn't have done it without people like him. So, Shawn's a part of our team now. Is the director of athletics, who's helping out not only with content, but with marketing, sales, but also product enhancement. So Shawn, just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background, because that's who we are, man. And, I'll dive into the specifics of the product.
So this will be the one time, this is the only time this is ever going to happen where you throw the lob, Jordan tips it over, and then I get to slam it, because that never happened in my career. So I'll tell you this, as a 30-year high school coach and athletic director here in Texas, I probably have an addictive personality, or, I'm all in. Whatever it is, I am all in. I jump in and go head first. I'm very passionate about it. And when I started using Ballogy, and as Jordan said, we started encountering some pain points, and I started asking questions, and we started some of this dialogue. And I would say very passionate dialogue of why can't we? Why can't this product be X or Y? And what I'm amazed with, you just asked what's new and what's, the development. And what's amazing to me is when I come and say, this is what coaches want, and then Jordan and the team come back and say, here's what technology can do and some of the AI stuff, I'm blown away. The way his brain works, the way he can think outside the box and see the technology of it, and then the team can build it into an app. It's just exponentially exploding before us, and we're going to have the premier basketball skill training tool, I think, in America.
I was gonna say, if we got into some of the new things, it's really focused on the AI capabilities of training, whether it's shot detection, shot tracking with a team or an individual player, indoors, outdoors, adding in like messaging and calendar and thought leadership, and we can get into those specifics. I think the main thing right now is introducing that AI shot tracking. So whatever kid goes out and shoots in his front yard or comes into your gym, if you have open gym over the summer, you can go in using the gun, not using the gun. It'll track your shots from every area on the court, and then you can have it track team shooting as well. So if you're in practice and shooting with 4 or 5, athletes, it'll track that as well. And so you're able to have shooting data for your team over a long course of time. And then from the AI aspect, we've introduced this thing called Ballogy AI. So it's applicable for athletes and for coaches. From the athlete side, ask it anything basketball related, trivia, all the way to player development, right? What do I need to work on today? Well, based upon your recent data of using the app, it sees that you have deficiencies in this quadrant of the court or doing this on the court, and it'll actually suggest you a workout and things and build you a workout for things that you want to do and improve on. Coach aspect, here's where it gets really cool and fun. Build me a practice plan, pregame speech, all the capabilities of ChatGPT and OpenAI. We've really tried to bring that and mold that into what is the best use case for coaches. And I may be speaking prematurely here, but I think it's a perfect place to do it because, this is an exclusive, right? So what we're getting into next is, analyzing game statistics and data. So what we're going to get into essentially is uploading a box score, uploading season stats. It'll give you a pretty in-depth game analysis, deficiencies, weaknesses, scouting reports, build a practice plan based on the last game, on the last season, player evaluations from the other team, from your team. And this can all be done, via Huddle, Max Preps, all these, resources that give out player data. And so that's what we're focused on to build and to have pretty soon here. As well as getting into the team management side of things. It'll be Messenger. Obviously there's hundreds of messaging apps like Apple and Google have, but it'll all be in one platform. So you can group message your team, you can message just your guards, you can message just your JV, and then you'll have a calendar. Hey, open gym is from these dates over the summer. So we really wanted to make it like a full-on player development tool for each and every coach on your staff, and for the parents and the players to have no excuses on what the expectations are from a staff point of how they want to win and how they want to execute their program.
I don't know where to start. I don't know. Like there's so many. I've tried to jot down a few things. Jordan, I feel like you just launched about 5 to 10 great areas that we could go to. First celebration though is for you guys at Ballogy bringing someone like Shawn on, because I think that is what is missing sometimes with companies that have the best intentions and have amazing basketball minds like you, Jordan, a part of that group, but they lack the connection to the actual person or group that they're trying to get on board. So like you said, you had a coach that is saying, hey, this is harder, this isn't working or whatnot. I mean, I think a lot of people would just on their end, okay, let's just try to fix it. But I think when you bring on somebody like Shawn that has been in the trenches, that knows what it's like to be in a gym and have 20 to 30 athletes trying to work on this thing, and how does it really help us? How does it shorten? Because I think most coaches, what we're jealous of is we're jealous of our time. And we don't want to do anything that is not going to make our players better, but also save us time. And by bringing Shawn on, I think what a great connection with you guys. So just want to celebrate that first
100%.
of all.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a godsend for me, actually. And the team that we work with are such talented people, and then good people on top of that. And so the Ballogy team is second to none.
I think the thing that really brought me a lot of energy or made me think, like, what are the possibilities here, Jordan? Because you went through so many things. I mean, I'm interested with the AI, of course, the tracking of shots in practice. That's really interesting because we all have huddle cams now, but the huddle cam, I mean, you can obviously record your practice, but you're not getting real-time data from that. Maybe you have a manager. maybe you have a manager that can stand there and stat the whole thing. I don't. My managers, I love them, and I'm very thankful when they show up to games to do things, but I don't require them to come to practice. And maybe some coaches do that. That's awesome. But to me, to have a phone or something just sitting in the corner and recording a scrimmage and then being able to get, hey, here's what we were today. Here's what it looked like. And I think that's huge. But the one thing I really want to hit is this idea of a team app within your platform, because you're right. We all use these. We use Stack Team App, and there's nothing wrong with it. It does exactly what it needs to. We can keep a calendar. We can send our players, our parents messages, and it's fine. But what if there was another part to it where players and parents can also see ways that they can train and things that they can do on their own? I mean, it would make it a complete team app where it's not just one piece of what we do. I mean, it has everything with what we do, and players can track, parents can track. I mean, I know my son is just graduating now, so I'm about 2 months from an empty nester, from when we're having this talk. But thinking back to, if I wasn't his coach and I didn't know for a fact what he was doing in the gym or giving him things he could go do, if I was a parent, I would be a little bit lost. But now I can see how his training is going, or what things he could be doing, all within this Ballogy app. Coach, I think that's big time.
And if I can speak to that real quick, as a coach and athletic director, we know, like what you said, using Stack for this, using Messenger for this, using Huddle for this. We need simplification in our lives, and we need time-saving tools in our lives. And if we can keep things a little bit cleaner and a little bit more concise, then it helps everybody stay organized. It helps everybody stay connected. Communication increases and efficiency increases. And that's exactly what we're building, so that we're not losing things or having to go somewhere else. It's all right there. And then one thing that Jordan didn't mention that I think is huge as an athletic director is the safety factor. That, coaches are using so many different messaging devices and platforms, and we see across the nation just the problems of communication between adults and minors. And innocent or not, there are problems that arise with that. And so we're building in a safe platform that will flag both language, innuendo, suggestive language, and certainly images, to where everything is transparent, recorded, stored, and keeps accountability from a legal standpoint as well.
Man, anybody that has an issue with that, we need to talk to that person. Like, we need to look into them a little bit, because that's great. And peace of mind. As a head coach, I want to have peace of mind that my JV coaches, all the way down to junior high, if there is communication between them and parents, them and players, that there's not going to be problems that are created, that I'm covered. And you nailed it too. Another thing is, here are the two things that stress me out every season. One is officials. I want to make sure that officials show up to the games that I've had them. So that I have a system for that. And then the other is scheduling. Not scheduling like, do I have games or anything? But it's my schedule is in like 5 or 6 different places. Are they all correct and up to date? I can't stand it. So like the school wants it there, TAPS, where, the governing body of us wants it here. Well, I've got it on Team App here. I've got a Google Calendar that I'm working on. Like, there's just too much room for slippage. I would love it if it was in all one place, and maybe this is it. So I think those 2 points that you made there are great.
Yeah, duly noted. There will be import and export options for those calendars. It'll be interesting to see just the adoption and the I would say, how it's received, because that's the focus. We looked at being, okay, we're from tracking workouts to then building a full-on team software platform. And I think that's where, we've seen a lot of traction in the offseason this year, just from seeing the capabilities of what we can do when we get on demos with coaches, and then working with the NFHS, which is the NCAA for high school sports, on when you talk about rule books, when you talk about, those kind of things, we've got some things around the corner that's going to be really interesting to see in terms of like officials and different things like that, because that's a huge initiative for them, is to get more officials out, to be able to have them show up like you're saying, but also from the parents and the coaches standpoint, what are the rules? And I know they trickle down into each state. And so those things are very key, for coaches all across the country at the high school levels. So we're working to build efficient resources and solutions for those kind of things. And being a little vague because I have to, but something soon, is coming around the corner to hopefully build out and have an easy resource for them.
Okay, now I'm not curious at all, so I appreciate that.
Right.
We got something really cool coming. I'm not going to tell you about it,
I
but
can't do it.
no, that's good. So my experience again with Ballogy is more on just the training side with the BSA score, which I love that idea of a drill or set of drills that players can go through. Jordan, you and I have talked for years now about different ways to measure skill and to have players not only compete against themselves to get a better score, but to compete against others in their gym, but also across the country. And then, with the possibility of it connecting to colleges at some point where colleges actually want to see what kind of data from this training are they bringing in like that. I mean, that's end game in my opinion for as far as the skill portion goes. But what are some other things now, besides the BSA that if a coach just wanted to help his players train better, what are some things now that the app can do?
Shawn, you take that one.
So yeah, where my brain went immediately is, Coach, let's take me and Jordan for an example. Jordan's 6'3", 6'4", long, lean. I'm maybe 6'1". We don't, but let's say we both shoot 48% from the arc, right? Are we equal college candidates? No, we were built differently. We have different size. And so one of the things, and Jordan was vague, I'll be a little vague too. We're building something hopefully in the future very soon that will be like the biometrics for coaches to recruit so that they can see actual height, weight, wingspan, jumping ability, athleticism, the things that are really hard to measure, we're trying to harness. And we need college coaches to have that authentic, reliable source to know that just because two kids show up as 48% shooters, one fits in my program, one doesn't. And so we're a service to those coaches. Those coaches believe in us. And that's, I think, coming in the future. And to answer your question in a little bit more precise manner is through tools like that, we are hoping to become more in tune of what coaches want and build those tools to be like player development through the BSA to make specific assessments that coaches want to see, to make specific workouts and curriculum that prepare players for certain levels. Like just again, like me, maybe a kid is suited to play in the NAIA, and that is phenomenal. He's in the top 1%, again, high school kids.
Yeah.
Maybe a kid goes JUCO. Those are different training regimens. They're different styles of play. And so we want to be that for all athletes to kind of identify, if you will, a career path. We want to identify an athletic path and then prepare them appropriately for the level they're playing, the style they're playing, the position they're playing.
I want to clarify one thing there is Jordan's 6'5". All right. So he's 6'5". He's not 6'3" or 6'4". We got to get that right out the bat. The dude's a beast.
What I was saying is when I guard him, I take off a couple inches just with my defensive ability, I guess. I don't know.
He can't even play like he's 6'5" when you're guarding him. I get that. You're a pest. You have high defensive pestitude.
Because I foul a lot. That's why.
Right there. No, I love that. Anything again, and this is where with some of these new updates or things, because I understand we have the tripod and our players can using their phone can record their things, but anything new with that even with a coach or just an individual player that maybe will jump out at them.
Yeah, for sure. So on a month-to-month basis, we update the drill library. So some of these drills don't have to be recorded. The coach can just assign certain things to their team and they can carry out and do them. One of the coaches that we partnered with was Tony Miller to actually come through with some small-sided games. So if a coach wants to assign, a small-sided game, 1v1, 2v2, something for pre-open gym, they can actually carry out and do that. They don't have to necessarily record themselves, or they can. So in terms of our drill library, we've got, all the way from shooting, all the intangible shooting, dribbling, finishing around the hoop, post moves, rebounding, all these different drills that can be assigned from a coach to a player, or the player can actually just go and take matters into their own hands and do those drills. Not a lot of kids we know are intrinsically motivated, just because there's so many resources out there, right? YouTube, all these things. What we wanted to do was build a platform that brings in some of these resources. So on our platform, we do have follow along on these workouts, from YouTube. We wanted to bring it all in one place. So what's new in terms of that is there's also basketball IQ. So we've built out a library that has videos for players to watch where it stops, it quizzes you, gives you, questions for you to actually develop your basketball IQ. We got strength and conditioning and also like flexibility workouts on our platform as well. So not always just on the court. That's something for you to follow along with. And then the AI shot tracking, I don't want to just completely, it's been in the works for years now for us, because apps like Home Court and these other, Noah, they do such a good job of doing this. And we really wanted to create a solution that was what we've run into. Coach, 90% of my players have an iPhone, 10% have an Android, and they're not able to get on. And I'm not saying that that's a big differentiator, because those companies do that really well. But we wanted to our whole thing is leveling the playing field. We wanted to have each kid have the ability to do that in any country, right? So we had kids, in different countries, in Brazil and all these places, able to track our stuff through their Android devices. And I would say when you're taking the BSA, you get automatic results. It automatically counts your makes and your misses. So you get your score. Back when, we would come on campus with you, coach, give us 24 to 48 hours, you get your score. So I think that like instantaneous data is a huge selling point for us right now, that some coaches are really buying into and really liking, just because of the world we live in today. If it takes too long to load, I'm not even going to watch the movie. I'm going to go to the next movie. If it takes too long to do whatever, it has to be instant. But we know the grind and success isn't instant. So we want to be a conduit to the success, but it's got to work efficiently and it's got to be reliable. One of the things too is not, really a cool thing to think about, but if you're outdoors and you're in a dungeon gym, like, we worked with Coach Peavy at Duncanville, they have no Wi-Fi in their gym. They have barely any connectivity, but it will save to the local device. And when you do get to your house, or you get to your car, go back to your classroom, it then loads up and finishes all the uploading. So it saves to your phone as like a Snapchat draft or something that's, very similar to social media. So those are the kind of things that they may not be the most flashy thing, but it's efficient, it's quick, and it allows, for you to get your work done and actually track your stuff. Because I know you, coach, I've followed you for a long time and you've coached me. I know you took notes of the shots that you took, the drills you did, all of that. And so for me as a basketball nerd, a workout nerd, I've always wished to have like a workout library, and to be able to see like these kids that are, diving in, shooting on the gun, doing all these things in our app. They're tracking their stuff, and it just makes me happy. I used to just go to the gym with my dad, and we used to do whatever was on Pistol Pete Maravich, recording tapes, VHS, or some JAMODI tapes that I used to have, and that was it.
There you go.
There was nothing to track. And so for us, we want to build and have a platform that's something new. I think it's new. I think everything is new, just because there hasn't been a digital platform like this. You have your workout apps, you have your training apps, but nothing to really stack your levels and see your growth over time.
And I want to dovetail that real quickly. And also, we don't want to get locked in a single philosophy. In our platform and our library, we try to provide different schools of thought, because take, for example, as a defensive coach, I'm close out, sideline, corner. I want to shrink the floor, but another coach is not wrong by closing out to the middle because he's got, the big kid. So we're going to be multi-faceted in our philosophies and in our library, so that drills work for the coach for what his philosophy and his system is. You may be a real dribble drive offense. Another guy may be like a Spain and a pick, repick. We want the opportunity for our drills, for them to go in our library and find what they need for their system. And at the very same time, the ability, which I think is brilliant, to be able to upload my own drills, the stuff that I already do and love, upload it into the app, stores in my library for my program. For quick reference, just pop it out. And it's shareable too, because again, none of us are the greatest coaches in America. We steal from each other. And so we're able to then, hey, I love what Coach Sayman does, so I borrow his stuff, and he's able to borrow my stuff. And hey, shameless plug, people want to share their systems, their drills, their libraries. We'll take them, because we want to build a library of quality coaches' systems.
So if on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we do skill work in the spring. And if I was to just have either manager, hurt player, or even just a tripod set up that I even could move around, but if I just record the whole thing, mistakes and all, teaching everything in there, I could cut up or set it. I mean, within the Ballogy platform, have these things organized, categorized, where I can go back over them. Yep. My players can go back over them, because I'll tell you, one area that I struggle with is just a good system for organizing all of the things we've ever done. So like if you were to go to my Google Drive, you have a year and then just so much stuff that's not even, and it doesn't even have names on it. It's just videos. It's all cut. I couldn't even find things if I really, like if I search, it would take a long time. Do you think this can help somebody like me, or probably a lot of coaches, with just that organization piece? Because we are all teachers and we want to remember our best lessons and be able to go back to those.
Yeah, the answer to that is yes. So shameless plug too, if you want to send it to us, we can make it available for everybody. But the focus is what you put into the app that's custom to your team, only your team has access to it. So it's just proprietary to your team. If you want to send it to us, we have some coaches that say, hey, I just want to submit this to the app. I know coaches will use it. We upload it ourselves. So with that Google Drive, there's power in a lot of different technologies. We could take the raw data, the unedited, and we could go ahead and put that into the app and put that in for your group as well. And put it shooting, dribbling, ball handling, finishing, all those things.
And I tell coaches all the time.
With the instruction.
Yeah, and I tell college coaches all the time, I mean, what better free recruiter than all these kids on our Ballogy app seeing the X university system? It's a free recruiter. They're getting to see that, man, I love the way that coach coaches. I love the way their kids work. I love the style they play. You know what? We just did half their recruiting for them right there.
On that note, with the connection between the BSA, but Ballogy in general, and recruiting in colleges, I remember being intrigued by that from the very beginning. How is that going? Where are you guys with those relationships of a lot of schools interested, what levels interested in that data? How's that going?
Yeah, that's a good question. So to be honest, right now, what happens, a score comes in, you have top 25 scores through our platform that are college eligible. These top 25 scores are both boys and girls. We have a network of NJCAA, so JUCO, NAIA, all of them, and a handful of Division I colleges, a part of our newsletter, and we send it to those coaches. We've had a few touch points back and forth with a few players and coaches, but really what we're getting into in April, we'll be at the Final Fours, both men's and women's, to talk about a target score, to where it could be something more from the top down level of an NAIA and an NJCAA. What is the expectation? Because I know every school has their own measurement stick, and Shawn kind of alluded to it, something like a system where they can actually search. I'm looking for a 6.3 kid with a BSA score of this, with these kind of intangibles with some stats in it. That's down the pipeline, but what we're focused on now is to give a target score. So what we can do is actually give somebody something to shoot for, right? When it comes to the recruiting side, we're also looking at a company that will actually do the recruiting for us. It's not NCSA, it's a company called PrepStar. They've been around for a while. They've actually placed a lot of kids in football and in basketball, NAIA all the way through Division I schools. They're actually, a four-figure amount package that you get, and they actually will help place you into a school. So we're actually partnering with them to take the kids who take the BSA, who take our app seriously, who are active and want to get recruited. Because for us, we can't boil the ocean. We can't do so much. What we could do is put you in front of a coach, but we really couldn't really call the coaches on your behalf like this company PrepStar can. And so there's something that's coming out this week on, just a business wire. We've been in talks with them for a while to essentially offer this at a way discounted rate for any Ballogy user involved in doing the BSA and being active on the app, to actually be partnered almost into a one-to-one. Because what they do, PrepStar, is they hire high school and college level, lower level college level coaches to actually help place you into different colleges. You'll have a mentor per se, and they'll call their, networks and PrepStar's networks of all these, top coaches, and I actually help you build your resume out. And it's way less, as of an umbrella or a mass, I'm just trying to get my numbers up. You'll actually have a one-to-one relationship. with a coach who wants you to play at the next level. So something like that, that's where we've kind of evolved this whole thing, because we could only do so much, but we really wanted to do right by the recruiting aspect, because you do have a library of all the things that you've worked on. So for you to be able to put in your huddle film, to send your GPA, but also send hours and gobs of you shooting and you dribbling and you doing all these things, like we really wanted to create an easy pathway and a system for a young athlete to do that. And we've done that with our partnership with PrepStar.
That's really interesting. And I love the fact that you expanded past just what you guys do with Ballogy. I'm always, and I think that's a part of me as a coach that makes me really interested in something like this, is I want to bring excellence to the gym. Like I know where my value is, but I also know where, like, I'm not a strength coach, and I'm not, there's maybe some coaches out there that feel like they're not the best at skill work. They're great in the middle of a timeout, and they're great building culture, but they're not with that part. And then the recruiting part is that's where I feel like all coaches wish they could do more. How could I help my players even more? And now there's something with Ballogy that I could possibly do that. I had a question for you guys. What if this was a coach that's listening to this and first time ever being exposed to Ballogy? They go online, or they find somebody, they get set up and onboarded and everything. What does it look like from point zero, getting onboarded with you guys, and then starting to get your athletes using it? What's that whole process look like?
I think if you're asking from time frame or process,
More like just, this is what you do first, and then after we get you here, then you
I
go.
mean, it's very simple, and our team has done a great job, because, if Coach Sayman, you say, hey, today I want to get on, and we've got the subscription payment, within minutes of processing that payment for a team subscription, you receive onboarding emails step by step. And then we have our team members who will be on the phone with you if needed. We will walk you right through it. But literally within an hour, you could be set up, team uploaded. There's a little bit of culpability on the coach to have the kids get on. We know that we're chasing kids all day long, but once we get our codes to our kids, which is a simple copy, paste, send, like in a simple text message, the kid can be on their phone within minutes and automatically in our group. And so I would say, if we processed you in the morning before lunch, you could be in athletic period after lunch working with Ballogy.
I think that's huge, because part of it is technology doesn't scare me, right? But things I don't know about, there is this idea of how much effort, how much time is it really going to take to get it going? And I think when you hear, one, that you've got people that will answer the phone. I'm not just going to go through a bunch of emails endlessly getting bounced back and forth. And Jordan's been so great over the years with me when I ask him so many questions, but I think that that's really helpful. Here's another question. Is there something through Ballogy that a coach could use to create weekly challenges, a weekly leaderboard, something to create competitiveness within his team? But also, like, this is the spring, as somebody that's in charge of a GFCS MBB on all those social media platforms, I'm looking for content. Like, I want something that I can put out there that, that is celebrating our players, that's making them see their names or wanting to be there. Any ideas of ways we could do that?
Yeah, I can chime in here, and Shawn can too. Back to the point of easeability, I know we've heard in the past, like, with it just being on the phone, it's available on the iPad, and we have a desktop version as well. So the things you can do on the phone, there's a desktop and an iPad for you to be able to do those things.
I appreciate you telling me that, because I feel like I've been doing everything through the phone.
Yeah.
And there's still a little old school in here. How bad is that though? That using a desktop is old school now. But thank you for saying that.
No, for sure. And I think that, to me, that's one point that we don't necessarily market as well, but it's available once you get in. You can set up, your desktop version. When you think about like the leaderboards and the weekly thing, I know so many programs out there do 10,000 shot club. And that's been my vision for what we're calling our vision technology, is the 10,000 shot club. It's either Google Sheet, it's by Word, it's by, I'm adding in the gun. What you can do, just for reference, is there's a leaderboard for every time a player shoots within the app. So they could go put their phone up, go and shoot, put it on a chair, put it anywhere, shoot at the rim, get their reps in, it counts their makes and their misses, and it will actually stack a leaderboard on that date of their totals, everything versus their teammates. And so you can actually go in and see, okay, this is, we have each player's shooting session essentially. So you could stack in and see, okay, this player has only shot 1,000 shots and it's June, and they say they're going to shoot 10,000 shots by the end of the summer. It's just one of our pillars is accountability. We don't want to have everything recorded all the time. It's kind of, in between thing. But what if it was easy where it's inconspicuous? The phone is just up and I'm just getting my work in. There's nothing for you to actually interact with when you're in the gym, you're shooting. It's just recording behind you. So that is one thing you could do in terms of like, from a leaderboard standpoint, is this off season, you can get on and track your 10,000 shot club.
So I was thinking immediately of a kid named Max. And if he watches this, he'll smile and his dad will smile. Max, we do a 10,000 make challenge. Last year, he got to 20,000. And then he got to 30,000. And so he got, instead of the t-shirt, he got a long sleeve sweatshirt or a sweatshirt crew neck. And then for 30,000, man, quarter zip. And he's the only one that has the quarter zip, right? So, but him and his dad, they spend so much time, and his dad has a clicker, handheld clicker. Wow. And so like everybody knows that his numbers are legit, but what if his dad could still rebound for him? Because I think there is something special with that between a parent and a son, or, or a daughter. But instead of having to click it, the phone is up back there. So let's say that Max does an hour-long shooting program or time, and his phone's captured. That's a huge file. Like that's an hour-long film on his phone. What is he? Obviously, the app has to be open, right? Or is he just recording it, just a video, and he can upload it later? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a good point. So it's actually shooting through the app. So he doesn't have to use any outside apps. And the algorithm actually tracks, the makes, the misses, the locations, and all that in 15-minute increments. So it saves, it'll alert, hey, 15 minutes is up. Boom. You can get 250 shots up in 15 minutes if you're just repping. So, or really like 150. So stop that at 15 minutes. That saves to the player's profile. Go into the next thing. If you're getting, those up into those 1,000, shots. So it has to be broken up into 15 minutes right now. We're trying to extend that more. But for the file size and to keep things very efficient and user friendly, it's 15 minutes at a time. And then after, let's say he's shooting outside or even in the gym, all he'll do is after the session, he can actually go back and see all his totals, all his makes, everything, and then he'll just hit upload. So it's similar to like, after you finish a game, you're uploading a huddle, uploading your game to huddle. So it's like that whole
the number of makes will already be on there. Like
Correct. It'll save each session. So by 15 minutes, you'll be able to see.
And did you say that he has to be stopping it, or it'll just cut it automatically in 15 seconds?
So he'll have to stop it. It'll stop on its own, and then you'll be able to see it, and it'll alert, and then you can just hit 3, 2, 1 again and start back the next 15 minutes.
And the beauty there.
So you kind of.
I'm sorry, Jordan. The beauty there. First of all, let me say I love Max, because those kids who do that stuff, you got to love. And Max's dad's going to love us because he's not going to have carpal tunnel in his thumb from clicking.
That's right.
So, we're solving a lot of problems here. But the beauty there as a coach side, or the dad side as the coach, is, see, we go from having to be concentrating on statistics, and we can be concentrating on form and mechanics and speed and those kind of things. Because as a coach, I did like several shooting drills we did every day of the year, whether in season or out of season, because we believe in the drill, and I'm able to chart it. I'm able to see, like, are we working hard? Are we going full speed? And how are we shooting the ball? And we could see that from days, weeks, months, years. Well, this, instead of me watching and making sure we made it or missed it, now I'm able to be like, hey, get that toe in, get that elbow in, get that release quicker. Sure. So I think it frees up coaches to be more effective with their athletes as well.
Yeah, and every 15 minutes, it gives you like a cheers, like it like alerts you via.
So if the sound is on and you're in the gym, you'll hear that?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. But here's the thing I was thinking too, is like the 15 minutes deal. There's a few ways that you can look at that. That's a good break time. Like that's a good time to get water. I mean, because even like I was thinking of taking my son through workouts, our breaks were kind of random, but what if, hey, we're going to go for 15 minutes straight here and we got a break. I'll get that. Like there is a lot to that. You said that it charts, makes that part I get, but locations, do you have to have the camera in a certain place on the court for it to know exactly what locations are? Or like if it's just randomly put up in the bleachers looking down at the court, that okay, I'm about to lose my AI, the technology, because I don't understand it all. It just knows? How does that work?
Yeah, so we're not there yet. The three main quadrants are half court and then the wings of half court, so the sidelines. So you can have it
Okay.
in either of those positions, and facing one hoop is what we're limited to right now, but we are in talks of being a little bit more creative in the future.
That makes sense. I'm not saying that that is a bad thing. Oh man, I could just put it wherever I want. Like, no,
Yeah.
like it makes sense that to get the best shot, because with the BSA, we did that. We were back at
Same thing.
half court and we had to make sure we had the whole thing. I get that. Because I mean, golly, like from a phone, the fact that you can do all of this from just a phone and you don't need, and no offense to the any of the systems out there where you got to invest in a ton of stuff to be hanging or anything like.
Yeah.
No, yeah, not knocking their systems at all. This, everybody, like you said, everybody has a phone, and the monthly subscription, you know, because as a coach, you know, I will pay to basically have the system for our team and everything else that you're talking about. What's the monthly look like for the players? Because I would imagine, you know, it's a Starbucks or around there. What do you got?
Yeah, pretty much. I'll blow your mind even more. Right now, you can track your shots for completely $0, totally free. So you can get started tracking your shots endlessly. We've got, you know, somebody in the 4,000 shot mark, 2,000 shot mark. We've got a few in the 1,000 shot club right now, and we're just trying to
So if
grow
your
that.
coach invests in it, players can start using it just like that without having to have. What does the subscription for a player do?
Yeah, so the subscription for the player. So say if I'm not a part of, let's say, a team, I get access to the library. I get access to, this is the library of drills. I get access to a number of BSAs per month. And then, you know, this month we're releasing, you get unlimited access to our Ballogy AI. So that's like the chat bot essentially, where you could say, hey, what should I work on today? And it'll actually read your profile data and your recent history. So if you didn't start anything and you just download the Ballogy app, you put in, hey, I'm 6'1", you know, 200 pounds. It'll suggest, hey, let's start with, you know, this, and this based on your height. We need to, you know, see your skill level, see you actually train in order for us to suggest anything else. That is $4.99 a month. So, yeah.
Coffee.
Cup of coffee.
No
And
big
even
deal.
for a team,
But then,
even for a
Go ahead.
team subscription of up to 20 athletes, $299 a year for full access, full connectivity between your team and assigning and all of the features that we talked about earlier, which is exclusive to that team. You know, you're $299 a year, which is less than $1 a day for your program to be fully integrated. So it's just, you know, we try to keep it at a point that any high school, whether it's Duncanville or Dimpleville down there, you know, that's a struggling 1A, anybody can afford it.
so that if a coach gets on board and has it for their program, players have access to everything on there within their apps for that amount.
Players don't have
Because I
to
think that's an important distinction. Because if you're like, as a coach, if I'm going to my parents or my booster club and say, hey, we need this. Okay, well, how much does it cost? Well, it costs this amount. And then once we get it, oh, by the way, our parents have to also, they have to pay for this every month, even though it's not a lot. I mean, for me and my family, we watch every dollar, you know, so it's like, that's important too, I think, for a coach to know that, man, your guys get everything for that one fee.
Yeah. And Matt, let me go back 30 seconds ago to finish that conversation about the players and where they're filming and how they're filming. We can actually select outside, outdoors, if they're doing their work outdoors, no 3-point line. If they're at a park that has a 3-point line, which one is it? Is it the high school, the NCAA? Is it FIBA? Is it NBA? And we can select any one of those on their phone. It prompts them. And then that's how it's selecting, to your question, where did they shoot from? Was it a 2 or 3? Based on their parameter selection at the beginning. But see, that's the beauty of it all is it's so affordable and it's so accessible anywhere. Because what happens in the spring? What you were just talking about. As coaches, we want everybody in the gym locked in on basketball. But the truth is, they're in track, they're in baseball, they're in ag or whatever, the springtime has, but we still need them shooting the basketball and working on their skills. They can do it at the Y, their church gym, in the driveway. They can come into open gym, wherever they are. We know that they have this thing in their hand because they're teenagers. So we're just harnessing that and making it accessible.
Here's a question. Like at open gym in the mornings, we'll have multiple guys on one shooting gun. How would it go about counting those? If because it's all about the time that they're spending. If we're encouraging them to use this, how does it work in with that? What are your thoughts there?
Well, the gun is the same way, which I love. Worked with Shoot Away. The gun is tracking each of those players' shots together, not individually. It's counting holistically. And so when 5 players are on one goal, one gun, it's giving a total of 5 players. And so that's what ours would. It'd be in group shooting. It's going to total those 5 players. The technology eventually, again, throw out that little nugget of what might be coming down the pipe, is individual tracking within a group. And Jordan, you might want to speak more to that. I don't want to divulge any proprietary information.
No, it's cool. There's things out there that have, facial recognition or what you're wearing or things like that actually will allow you to bifurcate which shot belongs to which player. Right now it's group shooting. You get group totals, just as Shawn says, but that's what we're working towards, where it could be a whole team shooting, but it knows either if I'm wearing a practice jersey, what number I am, or if my hair is buzz cut or if I have an afro. Like it'll actually know and do that. You can do that through, like, say if you're in open gym and one guy does it, what we're working on now too is, hey, I shot with Landon, I shot with Matt, I shot with Shawn. So okay, these are the guys that actually did shoot, so they get credit for it as well. So kind of is a weighted system there, but for the most part, group shooting stays within just those, groups, or if it's a team, and then individual is totally separate. And you can shoot, and do that. We've seen that in the app, and it just adds to the total. But then as a team, you get a shot chart. So you can see everyone who's shooting all in like a snapshot. Okay, my team is pretty hot from the left corner, or we struggle at the top. Over the summer, my kids are shooting really, poorly from, the left quadrant here. So there's like a team total shot chart, and then there's an individual shot chart as well that you can examine and do what you want with that data. But I have to say this because we did recently speak to a coach about data, and the main question was, okay, I finished my shooting sessions. What do I do now? And so for us, we want to be able to answer that question pretty quickly with our AI. So that's what, is coming next with, the box scores, with the shooting data. Hey, based on this shooting session, or based on all your players' workouts this week, here's a few points that you should focus on in, this upcoming training or this upcoming practice. So we're working on answering that question through AI, making it really simple and really short.
Right. And again, it's the same thing on the gun, but we have both capabilities. You can shoot individually and track yours and get a shot chart. You can shoot as a team, because I do that a lot.
Yeah, because that's part of the gun I don't like when our guys are grouped together with 3 on there, is they have to guess at that point. Like, I think I made this many out of the 558 that we just had, but that's cool.
We're very, very close, though, talking with a company that will actually help us say, like, this was Shawn, this was Matt. So we're just we're working towards that, because that has been a common question, and through practice as well. Like if I have a manager on the side and he's, he or she is like pointing at the hoop, and who knows who's scoring. So then we get into statistics and different things like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I would love to do this before we kind of wrap up and you guys say anything else that's kind of on your mind. Jordan, this is something we didn't do last time. And since Shawn is here, I'd love to take you guys through a mini speed round. And so these are like quick questions. And Shawn, like, I don't know you very well, but I know Jordan. But people out there, we learned a lot about Ballogy, but we'll get to know you guys just a little bit better. So Jordan, I'll ask you first, and then Shawn, I'll ask you. For anybody watching this, like, they had no clue that this was going to happen. And so super excited. Okay? All right. So these are some of my favorite questions that I get to ask people. So Jordan, favorite ice cream flavor?
Cookie dough, chocolate chip cookie dough.
Okay, Sean.
Same question. Reese's peanut
Yep.
butter and chocolate. Yeah.
What are you
Yeah,
even
right?
asking? Yeah. Sean, I didn't know. Sorry. Let's see. Favorite shooter of all time, Jordan.
Favorite 3-point shooter or any type of
Yes.
shooter. His name is Wardell Stephen Curry. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
gonna agree. You're saying shooter, Steph Curry.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Jordan, 3 dinner guests that you would love to have at the same time, and it could be from any time period.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it on brand with basketball just because that's all I think about. I actually would love to see Larry Bird, Michael Jordan, and Kobe Bryant all at the same.
That's a good dinner. I feel like it'd be a very competitive dinner.
Yes.
You know, like whatever way they could compete, they'd be trying to do that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So I'll
Sean?
go outside of the hoops world just to make it different because I think it'd be too competitive, nobody to eat. So I'm gonna say I'll keep MJ in there, and then I'm gonna go outside, and this will sound really crazy. I would love Toby Keith. We've lost him, but country music artist, I would love him to be there. I think personality wise would be awesome. And then I'll throw in, let's see, the third one. Man, that's a tough one, especially when I put the two together. But I would love those two. And then I would say the third one, let's go with somebody philosophical and I don't know. How about Matt Sayman?
You just ruined your dinner. Those other two are going to be like, yeah, I get why
Yeah.
we're here, but why is he
I like
here?
learning people's stories and hearing diversity, and that'd be a great mix right there. Matt, I'm throwing you in there.
Is that a first, Matt, throwing you in?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a first. I don't know what to say. Jordan, let's see. Favorite basketball movie of all time.
Favorite basketball movie of all time, Glory Road.
That was a
good
really
one.
good one. Really
Good
good
one.
one. I'm gonna tie because Hoosiers is a classic. I love it. But one that I love that I'm gonna tie with is Mighty Max. If you know the story of the female team oh great. There you go. I just taught y'all
I
something
need to
today.
watch that.
Very good movie, Mighty
Yeah,
Max.
I need to.
I just wish I knew her name. I think he was an NBA ref. His wife took over a Catholic parochial school and led him to the national championship. Very good movie.
Mighty Max. Who's in that?
Thank you for asking me that on camera. Appreciate that.
Edit
I can
this
see
out.
her. I just can't think of her.
No, that's good.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay. I gotta watch
Did you
it.
just look it up?
I did just look it up. Carly
Okay.
Gino. Yeah, you got some really famous
Yeah,
people
yeah.
in there. I've
Okay.
never heard of
Mighty
that.
Max. I wrote it
Family
down.
Faith.
He
I wrote
may
it down.
see- he may see-
All right, last one. Last one. And Jordan, we'll start with you. In basketball, who is the GOAT?
Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
No question. No question. I don't think you can call yourself saved American basketball coach.
That's right. That's right. If you don't say that, just get off of
Although
this
I
video
have-
right now.
I've
Stop-
had
no.
doubts. I've had doubts before, but I can't switch up on Michael. I can't.
You and I will have a talk one-on-one about your
That's
doubt. And no, what's funny is I've asked that question, 207 times now around there. Most of the time it's Michael Jordan. And anybody that answers Michael, it's a Michael Jordan. Mike, I can't believe you'd ask me that. It's that speed and answer. If it's somebody else, they'll say something like, I'm going to go with LeBron. And let me tell you why. There's something that they have to say or justify. And I think deep down they know that this isn't right, but I'm going to try to. Now, there's another question that I'm going to, this next season, I'm going to throw around is who's on your Mount Rushmore?
That's a good
So
one.
if you had 4, because then case for LeBron, case for Kobe, all of these guys.
I think if you look at just
Kobe, Bill Russell, Michael, Jerry West, Mount Rushmore.
See, I don't know how you don't have Steph on there personally, just because of how you changed the game. But
That's
it's a whole other. There's no wrong answer to right or wrong to the GOAT. There's no right or wrong, and so much of it's influenced by when we were watching it as a younger
gonna say,
person. But Sean,
that's
what
exactly
were you
what I
going
was
to
gonna
say?
say is I think you have to stick with, to be fair, generational goats. And you look at
Yeah,
time periods, with Magic and then Michael. And I think we have to argue that Steph probably is the GOAT of this era. And we're looking at the young coming up with Jokic or Doncic or, some of these Giannis. These kids are going to be doing some incredible things in the future. So I don't ascribe a whole lot to absolutely, definitively the greatest of all time. I think Michael has impacted the game financially and athletically and statistically more than any other player.
That was good. Guys, I want to give you just an opportunity as we wrap up. Any final thoughts? And then also, what are ways that coaches could, if they wanted to today, either get started or even talk to one of you two or someone else just about if they have more questions? I'll let you guys take it from there.
Yeah, Shawn, go ahead and take that one.
All right. I'd say, man, it's just so simple. Ballogy.com. Can contact any of us through there, download the app and get started. And we are such an approachable company. Our team members are so available, and we'll make ourselves available morning, noon, or night, weekends. I think it's just important to do that because coaches, we know our time and our schedules, and to fit any family time in there, we have to reserve that. Hey, I need you on Sunday evening at 7:00. Hey, I got you. So it's as simple as that. Ballogy.com. Or download the free app and we'll get you rocking.
Yeah, and I'll say this too, technology is a work in progress. And for some companies, whether it's in sports or Google or whatever, you rarely get to talk to a live person. And so we may not have the most perfect app. I think we have a great platform application that's ready, available, and active and working. But if you ever encounter anything, you'll talk to a live person that will actually help you and navigate through those things. And that's like our company guarantee. And Jordan@ballogy.com or Shawn@ballogy.com is our personal emails that you guys can message, contact. Hey, I watched this episode and, tell me more. You'll actually get a demo with a live person that will walk you through what it could be like with your school or your organization. And throwing it out there, we don't just work with high school teams. We work with AAU teams. We work with trainers if you have a training business. So we've had coaches sign up for their high school team, but then they say, okay, but I have an AAU team or my daughter's on a part of this gym. We work with gym facilities, AAU programs, trainers, and then schools as well. So all of those are capable and housed in our app. And we try to be as approachable as we can and solve problems and fix things as quickly as we can.
Jordan, how long have you been working with Ballogy now?
This is my 5th year with Ballogy, surprisingly.
I thought, man, I just want to celebrate you for all the hard work that you've been putting in with Ballogy. It's been super cool just to see you grow with it, but also how the app has grown from when you and I met at the TBC Coaches Clinic, walking around. I saw you up there, and there were already some great things with Ballogy, but to see where it's come, and I think you're a big part of that. Shawn, thank you for joining and coming on this talk, but also excited to have you being a part of Ballogy because the way that you connect with real coaching experience. You've been here, you've been in the trenches, like the rest of us. And also, I'll just want to thank you guys too for Ballogy and you guys for continuing to support the podcast and what I'm trying to do here with sharing and kind of growing the game. It's just such a pleasure for me. So guys, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate your time.
You bet. And thank you for what you're doing for basketball. The work you're doing and quality product, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And I always say this, but I wouldn't have been a player without learning the fundamentals, how to sit on the bench, how to be a good teammate, how to understand how to train without Coach Sayman. So I appreciate you, and you taught me so much in my life. So I appreciate you, Coach.
Appreciate that. One of my favorite moments at IAD, you were an 8th grader and hit, I feel like it was kind of like a double clutch 3 at the buzzer and won that game for us and IED Force. But I knew you were going to be great back then. And so just to be a very small part of your journey has been just super fun for me. Guys, thank you. Thank you so much again for coming on. Can't wait to share this. And thank you again for what you're doing for coaches and players growing the game yourselves. This was awesome. Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.